before we get to the lesson, I want to show a quick transition that your homework is going to do. I do hope that you took the dice value problem seriously, because again, it does have a point to it. As you try to get better, just make sure that you are getting better at this stuff. Now that it becomes something different, it isn't about the color anymore. All that matters is the rules that we learned before, which was that if they were the same, we added them because they worked together. If they were different, we subtracted them, and then whenever what happened, whatever value was larger was the one that won. So when we saw this before, it was red and black. Now it's just positive and negative. So positive 5, negative 8, they are not the same. And so your sign would be, or your final result would be negative, because 8 is negative, and the negatives win by 3. And so those would be the two things that you get out of that. Alright. Here, negative 9, negative 3. Again, when we look at this, we have this situation here, which means that they are both the same. That means that they work together to make 12, and since they are all negative, that our sign would be negative. Positive 7, negative 1. Again, in this situation, they are not the same, and so they subtract, or they fight, whatever you want to think about it as. The positives win because 7's bigger, and the positives win by 6. And here you have a positive and a positive. They work together and they make 8, and again, because they're all positive, it would be 8 positives. So again, that is the adjustment that is made to your dice value thing. That is now a different process. This unit here is going to focus on, the next 2 weeks is going to focus on solving equations. I need you to view this as a game that has simple rules. Do not view this as algebra. Do not view this as math. It's just a game, and what you have to do is pretty much do some steps to get things done, and then once you figure out those steps, everything is easy. We will not get into tricky questions this time around. We will focus on helping you develop on proper decision-making skills. Think about this question here. X plus 19 is equal to 85. Our job is to get the variable alone. That's what solve means, get the variable alone. So we want this X to be by itself. You will be asked the following questions, so let's get through them together. Again, there's a lot of questions that go with this, but I think they're easy enough to answer. First question is, what value is with X? Well, it says X plus 19, so the value with X is 19. It's actually positive 19 is what I would say on the homework, but again, that's what you would answer that as. Then it's going to say what operation is being shown. Well, this is X plus 19, so it is addition. What is the opposite operation? What is the opposite of addition? Well, adding something would be the opposite of subtracting something. And so what we do to solve is we use the opposite operation. What I mean by that is, if it's X plus 19 equals 85, we are going to subtract 19 from here, which means we will also subtract 19 from here. Okay? So again, in order to get rid of that, because negative 19 and positive 19, as we know from our game, 19 minus 19 equals 0, which means that this cancels out. X comes down, equaling whatever 85 minus 19 is, which is 66. You will have to type this into the box, this into the box, this into a box, and that into a box. So each of these questions on solve will have 4 boxes. In those boxes where you'll show me minus 19, you'll bring down your X, you'll bring down your 66, and that will be it. Okay? Again, if you have any issues on any of this stuff, let me know, but there will also be questions saying what values with X, what operations being shown. I think these are multiple choice. Just make sure you pick the right one and you'll be good. But all the questions today will look like this as we keep going. K minus 75 equals 14. What values with K? Well, it says K minus 75, so negative 75 is with K. Again, that is a negative 75. What operation is being shown? K minus 75 means we are doing subtraction. What is the opposite operation of subtraction? Hopefully we know from our last question, it is addition. Taking something away is the opposite of adding something to it. And so the next thing we will do, again, you'll have boxes below this on your homework, is how do you solve this? Well, we want to move this 75 away from K, and the way we do this is by adding it to both sides. K comes down because that goes away, equaling 14 plus 75, which is 89. Again, there will be a box for this answer, a box for this answer, a box for this answer, and a box for that answer. I even put feedback on these to let you know where you mess up, so that way, again, if you get stuck, it should tell you where to go. But again, if something happens and you don't know what's going on, feel free to email me and I will be glad to help you out. You always have to read the problem carefully. In some problems, it doesn't always look the way we're used to. In this situation, when it says what value is with H, the first thing people want to say is 61, but 61 is not with H. It says 61 equals H plus 34. So the number that's actually with H is the 34. What operation is being shown is H plus 34, so this is addition. Again, focus on the side where the variable's at. The opposite operation here would be, again, subtraction. And so we want to move the value. The reason we have to identify the value is because otherwise you move the wrong one. It's H plus 34, which means that we want to move this 34 by subtracting 34. We are moving this away from the H. Who cares about the 61? It's on the opposite side. So again, we are picking the value that's with H and using the opposite to move it. 61 minus 34 is 27. Which comes down over here because that's what's there. H comes down over here. Again, there will be 4 boxes on this question, and this is going to have to be how you do it. Do not just put the H down over here because H in this situation is on the right side. 61 minus 34 ends up at 27. H comes down on the right. Okay? One last example. 37 equals E minus 58. Again, you have to train your eyes to see what value is with E. So find E. It says E minus 58. So remember, you have to put negative 58 is with E. What operation is being shown? That's E minus 58. So this is subtraction. What is the opposite operation of subtraction? It is addition. And so it's going to ask you again to solve the equation by moving the value. So what you will do is you will simply say E minus 58. I've got to move this 58 by adding 58 to both sides. 37 plus 58 is 95. And again, E comes down. That will be the 4 boxes of answers that you'll be expected to do. All right. You will be given large values. This is to help you or to keep you from trying to solve problems in your head. It's also to get you used to trusting the steps and using your calculator. So if you don't know how to get to your calculator, email me so I can help you find it. Remember, ours is on that online calculator. If you don't have one at home, you could even use the calculator on your phone for now. You don't need anything major. But again, any calculator is going to be needed, or a calculator is going to be needed because I am purposely giving you big numbers. There are more problems than the last unit in your homework, and that's because solving is a skill and I need you to practice it. So it's not just 10 questions. I think you might be in the 20s, but again, most of those questions are pretty fast because if you think about it, these questions don't take long to answer. Putting negative 58, subtraction, addition shouldn't be that bad. So again, just make sure you're ready for that. But again, if you give your effort this week to learn the basic steps, because what we're doing right now is one decision, next week will be easier next week will be easier to deal with because next week we get into doing 2 decisions at once. So you need to make sure you have this down. So other than that, go to your homework. Again, email any questions you have, and good luck.